Hello and welcome to CyVerse's fall webinars. I'm Tina Lee, CyVerse's User Engagement Officer. Today's webinar on sharing permissions in teams continues as part of our Get Started series, where we focus on specific features in CyVerse that can help you do your open science. Before I turn the webinar over to presenter Michele Cosi, please open your Zoom chat window and type any questions you have there for Michele to address after his presentation. As always, we record these webinars and I'll post the video recording on our YouTube channel, which also then is embedded into our web page for this webinar, and you can review those at any time. So now I'm pleased to introduce my colleague, Michele Cosi. Michele is a research data scientist with a background in plant genomics and is a veteran presenter of CyVerse webinars and Data Science Institute workshops. He's an expert user of CyVerse who recently admitted that he knows firsthand how powerful CyVerse is, so sometimes tries to give too much information that can sometimes overwhelm a new user. So I'll do my best to keep us all grounded today at the get started level. So welcome, Michele.
Thank you, Tina. Yes, today I'll try my best to not go overboard, and I need to share my slide. I am just remembering that I did not share the CyVerse getting started slide that I usually share every single time around.
Looks good.
Okay, thank you. And we're gonna start by jumping straight into it. My assumption is that folks at this point have been able to create their CyVerse accounts and have been able to join CyVerse, maybe try it out. But maybe you are a little bit lost when it comes to sharing things with your collaborators, and therefore I'm going to show you the various ways you can share data through CyVerse or outside of CyVerse as well for people that are not able to create an account. And therefore, here is the Cyber Discovery environment. You're able to see it, Tina? I'm assuming so.
Yes.
Um, since today is about data, we're going to be focusing on the Data tab. If you expand the left-hand menu and click on the Data tab, you are going to be brought onto your data folder. These are all folders and files that are present in my own private repository. There is little bit too many folders in here and too many files, but let's just look at one of them, and I'm gonna look at a workshop that I gave earlier this year, which is workshop 01, looking at Gradio. There is a couple of folks in the call that I can share things with. One of them is Jeff and the other one is Carlos. So let's go and say, hey, Jeff and Carlos, I would like to share this data with you. How would I do it? The first thing that comes to my mind is, do Carlos and Jeff have a CyVerse account? In my mind, I know that they have a CyVerse account, and just to share it with them, I can go here on the right, on the three dots, and I can click it, and I can see that there is a share function. If I click on that share function, I can go ahead and look for Jeff and Carlos's full names. Why full names? Because CyVerse does require to adhere to some international standards, international laws regarding sharing data and knowing who you're sharing data with so that you're not sharing your data with somebody that you do not know, or perhaps a way to maintain anonymity to with and hide people's profiles online. So if I were to share this data with a collaborator of mine, which has registered to CyVerse and I know its full username, I will go right ahead and type this person's full username, Jake Gillen. I have shared something with Jeff in the past and therefore it shows up. But if I had not shared something in the past with somebody, this name will not show up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Jay Gillen.
Michele, can you
Yesterday,
explain? I'm sorry, what the rationale for why an automatic pop-up list of potential collaborators doesn't pop up unless you already know the username?
sure, I think I just covered it, but I'm happy to cover it again. We do have to adhere to some laws that will try to protect people's identities. And therefore, if I do not know this person's full name, um, CyVerse will try to not tell you who this person is so that in just in case this person's identity will not be revealed. In this specific case, because I have already shared it with Jeff, it will show up. But let's say, do you have something to say, Tina?
No, no,
I,
just thank you. You're right. You are repeating it. I just heard it a different way. So thank you.
my bad. Let's say that yesterday I worked with a user of ours, um, and I don't think I've ever shared anything with him. This person's name is Cassidy. So if I were to type in Soloff, it will show up. Cassidy Soloff will show up, but if I were not to put his full name, Soloff, then it doesn't. I have to type in this person's full name in order, or excuse me, this person's full username in order for it to show up. Um,
Thank you.
I'm going to also share it with my friend Carlos, whom I have shared something in the past as well. And things do show up if they have already been added, or if I already have shared something with them. Now, before I click done, there is a couple of things that I can look at. And one of the things that I can look at is the permissions themselves. Let's say that I want to give Carlos the ability to view this file, but not to edit it. In this specific case, I will give Carlos the read permission, and read allows you to view a file and not edit it. But let's say that Jeff and I work a little bit closer, and I would like for Jeff to give his opinions and actually do some work on the file itself. I'm going to then give Jeff the write ability and permission. As you notice, there is a third one, and that is the own permission. And the own permission is one to give the ability to whoever I share it with own permission to actually go ahead and delete the file, share it with others. Therefore, it's very powerful. And if you are keen on keeping this file, I don't suggest you give somebody the ability to own. Therefore, restrict yourself between read and write is the best way. Restricting yourself to reading and writing is the best way to keeping a file, quote unquote, safe. Um, So let's say that I'm happy with the read permissions of the ones that I want to share the file with. I'm going to also remove, I can also remove the sharing by clicking the remove on a specific file, but I'm happy with what I have, and therefore I'm going to go and click done. One file and folders have been shared with Jay Gillen, and I should receive a second, there we go, pop-up that says one file and folder has been shared with Carlos Izarraga. Fantastic. What happens on Carlos's and Jeff's side at this point is that on the top right, they're going to receive a notification which says, Cosi Michele has shared a file with you. If they were to click on that notification, they will be brought out to this specific file. Um, I want to do something a little bit weird right now, which is what they will see when they click on that notification. And the way for me to show this is that I need to click on copy DE link. If I copy DE link and paste it, it will bring me directly to the file itself. It will open up the file and I can view the file. But as you can see on the top on my URL, this is the direct link to the file. So if you want to share this specific link with somebody that you've shared the file with, it's a good way to use the discovery environment and sharing the specific file with someone. This can work with folders, this can work with files, and it will open up the file in the discovery environment. In the past, we have looked at moving data with CyVerse and using tools to move data with CyVerse. And tools are a little bit, the tools require a little bit of knowledge of the command line, and they will require the path of the file itself without de.cyvers.org/data. And in order for you to get that path, you will need to click copy path. If I click copy path and open it in a new tab and I can paste it, as you can see, I have /iplan/home/Cosi Michele, and then the name of the path is the name of the file or folder that I'm trying to share. This path is the path that you want to give to somebody that's trying to use iRods, that's trying to use Go commands, that's trying to use CyberDoc or SFTP in order to download the file itself. So there is a difference between copy the DE link and copy path. If there are any questions, please, by all means, do let me know in the chat or unmute and let me know. Let's see what happens if I click on public links. It's giving me now the same path, or sorry, the same URL that was given to me when I clicked the copy DE link earlier, but it also gives me the ability to, well, copy the public file, sorry, copy the public link, save to file, which will, let's see what happens. It will create a small file with the file inside. I'm not really sure. I've never actually used this feature in the many years that I've been at CyVerse, and I have the ability to download it or refresh the cache itself. But these are not strictly sharing rather than getting a hold of the file itself. Now, we have looked at how to share a file to your collaborators directly. We have seen how to share a URL, and we've seen how to get a hold of the public, sorry, not the public, I keep on using that word, but the path. Both starts with P and is tripping me up. How to copy the path to the file itself to share with collaborators. There's a couple of things before I move on to Teams, but let's look at what if I want to share a file with the Word? What if I want to share a file with the Word without having people needing a CyVerse account? We will need to go back to share. And at this point, we have a couple of options. I can either share it with anyone on CyVerse, and that is by adding public. And this means that anyone on CyVerse will be able to see my file. But outside of CyVerse, I will need to add anonymous. So if I were to click on anonymous right now, wait for the screen to load, and I'm going to click done. I will then need to stop the share and start sharing again because I want to share my whole screen. I'm going to click the, let's say, copy DE link, and I'm going to open an incognito window, which means that now Google Chrome is agnostic regarding the links that I've opened in the past, or I'm not logged into anything at all. So if I were to press this or paste this into my URL and press enter, it will say file request status code 01. Oh no, this is not what I want to see. Let me check my permissions here. Anonymous has ability to read. Yes. Um, it's probably because I am pasting in the de.cyvers.org. Dang it, CyVerse. Let's see if I can do public link. Maybe this is slightly different. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Ah, there we go. And all of a sudden, I can view this file as anonymous. I can download this file if I want to. The difference between the two links, it seems like one of them is strictly trying to get to the discovery environment that doesn't actually allow you to get in unless you have an account. But the other link seems to be using data.cyvers.org, which is our web dev, and therefore it does not use the DE in order to view the file itself. So the lesson in this specific case is if you're sharing the file with somebody or somebody that does not have a CyVerse account, click on that public links link. My bad, folks, over here. But I did just talk about data.cyvers.org, and I feel like at this point I do need to mention something. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste this um, into Google Chrome. Data.cyvers.org is our web dev, meaning that you're only looking at our files, at the files that you're sharing with others, at the files that you own, perhaps, but don't want to see these files through the discovery environment. Here you can access CyVerse curated, and maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Here you can access CyVerse curated files, community released files, and these are files that folks have made available for anyone on the internet to access. But what this is extremely useful for is to stream data from CyVerse onto somewhere else. For example, if you have a number of images that you may be using for either viewing a GIS, for example, or looking at cell counting cells of a Petri dish, this is extremely useful to stream data from CyVerse to the outside. We have data that ranges from our own CyVerse training data to other users that, let me see if I can find it over here. um, to other users that have made data available for others. So data.cyvers.org is extremely powerful in that specific sense. I wanted to also talk a little bit about teams because sharing things with people can get a little bit frustrating. Let me remove Carlos and Jeff from here and this other person. But do notice how I've had to go ahead and delete them one by one, by one by one. And that can get annoying, especially if you are removing people or adding people to the share. Let's say, let's assume that you have a laboratory of 10 students, and you want all of these 10 students to have access to multiple files together. It would be annoying to go ahead and share files one by one with all of these students. So there is a way to group people together, and that is by using the feature Teams. Teams, it's a funny name. It's Teams, it brings people together, but it's also a feature that, well, brings groups together. So don't just see this as teams, see these as groups. I do have a number of teams that I have created. Um, and maybe we can use those for an example. But let's go to all teams. These are folks that have created their groups and are sharing data using Teams. You can, quote unquote, request to enter a specific team. But if you click on it, for example, you can't join it. You have to request to join this. And what will happen is the person that created a team will receive a notification saying, hey, Cosi Michele wants to join your team. If this person does not want me in the team, they will just remove or not accept. These are the public, quote unquote, public teams, meaning that people can see that a team exists, but they can't yet join. Let's say that I want to create a team for my laboratory. I'm going to go ahead and click team and give it a description name. CyVerse getting started team. I want to give it a description if I need to, but I'm going to skip that for right now. I can make my team either public or not. Let's not make it public for now. And I'm going to add Jay Gillen and Carlos. Oh, see, is Raga. Let's say I want to share it with some other folks like uh, Sarah Roberts or Edwin. Oh, now I can add privileges to each single person. An admin will be able to add or remove. This is the wrong Edwin. Um, an admin will be able to remove or add people to the team, whilst a member is just a member that is going to uh, gain the permissions that you assign when sharing. Edwin S. I want. Okay, so once I have my team ready, you can go ahead and click save. And by all means, please click save. I've made the mistake in the past to not click save. I clicked back and I had to restart making the team, and that was annoying. But if I look at my teams, getting started with CyVerse getting started team is right there. And let's say that I want to share the same file that I was working with earlier with this team. I'm gonna click on share, and I can just type in CyVerse getting started team. Why are you not finding it? Maybe if I type in CyVerse getting started team, you will find it. Yes, there you go. So once again, I did have to type in the full name of it, and maybe it was also case sensitive, but all of a sudden I'm sharing something with four people, not one person at a time, but with a group of four, and all four are going to receive the same permissions that I'm going to give them. Let's say that I want them all to have write permissions, and I'm going to click done. It does say sharing failed, but I think that's lying. I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to click share once again. Let's stick with read permissions. Perhaps that was the issue. Click done. Interesting that I'm having an issue, but this is usually related to the fact that sometimes things are attached to a cron job. And therefore, right now, what has happened is I just created a team. It might take some time for our system to pull all the people together. And perhaps in a couple of minutes, I can use this team. I can use the share ability to this team. I'm gonna click done one more time to see whether this is gonna work. Perhaps I will have to wait for this another couple of minutes. Maybe I can share with another team, CyVerse demo team. Let's see if this works. Ah, this has been shared. So with all things computers, just be patient with the computer. Some things are attached to cron jobs, and therefore maybe you create something and it doesn't work right away. Give it a little bit of time and it will work, perhaps later in the day. But now I'm able to share this file with the CyVerse demo team, which actually between you and I are the same people in the CyVerse Getting Started team. All right, so we've seen how to share things on CyVerse. We have seen how to create teams. We have seen how to access we have seen how to access files directly through iPlant Home, the path itself, and we have seen data.cyverse.org slash dav anon, which gives anyone access to data on CyVerse. Lastly, we do have a more user-friendly data sharing, which is the data commons.cyverse. What this is a portal to all of the data that we have, that we are holding and is shared to folks, and also has a DOI attached to it. So if I were to click on Cyverse curated, and let's see, I want to look at the Bush folder. This folder has been given a DOI, a digital object identifier, meaning that it will forever live on the internet. And if I were to copy this and go to doi.org, I think that's the right URL, scroll down and paste the DOI into resolving a DOI name, click submit, it will bring me back over here. CyVerse does host a number of files for publications, and the data commons is where you can access these files. In order to have your publication or your files have a DOI, you will have to go through create a DOI for a specific folder, which will require you to fill in some metadata and metadata related actions, as well as a couple of readmes to help folks navigate the creating a DOI. I think this brings me back to the end of today. All of that I have mentioned is covered in learning.cyverse.org, which is our home for anything learning on CyVerse, going from moving your data to sharing your data. So if I'm going to stop sharing right now, and if folks do have any questions, please do share. Otherwise, I think this is all regarding sharing data with CyVerse. Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. If folks have questions, feel free to unmute or type it in. But I did want to clarify that for the purposes of DOIs, you do need a paid account, or in the case of U of Arizona, you have an automatic free pro account due to our state funding. That's the current status. Okay. So are there any questions for Michele? Thank you all for joining. And our next webinar is in 2 weeks, November 15th, the same time slot. And it's going to be a focus on getting started on how to troubleshoot your analyses. And good old Michele is going to be there with us. If anybody's ever done analyses, you know that sometimes things just go awry and you don't know maybe where to start. So Michele is going to get us comfortable with how to start troubleshooting one's own analyses. So thank you
Yes.
everyone for attending today. I'm sorry, Michele, you want?
So, Ratang, I'm going to get right back to you right after the end of this. But Harper, is there a storage limit? The storage limit is if you are free, not using a subscription, then it's 5 GB. If you are purchasing a subscription, a pro subscription will have 3 TB of limit, a commercial subscription 5 TB of limit, and a basic subscription, 50 gigabytes of limit, I think.
Basic is just 5 gigs.
Basics is
Is
5.
the free one, yeah.
Oh, yes, basic is 5. Pro is 50. Sorry, Pro is free, and commercial is 5 TB. But also, if you're nice to us, and if you have purchased a subscription, send us a message. We can work with you on what you need.
There are also changes coming
Yes.
effective January 2025, January 1, where say you run out of data storage for your subscription, you can just buy what they call add-on storage, which you can currently do now, but the options will change effective January 1. Okay. Are
I
other
hope that answered your
questions?
questions, Harper.
Yeah.
Otherwise, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye now.